My younger son had an affair with his brother's girlfriend, attempted to marry her, and subsequently found himself disowned by our entire family. Now he is alone, pointing fingers and blaming us for ruining his life. I had always thought we were a loving family. My family is made up of me, a 55-year-old father, my wife Sophia, who is 50, and our two sons, Jared, age 28, and Nathan, who is 25. Throughout our lives, my wife and I have dedicated ourselves to creating a nurturing home for our children, instilling what we believed to be strong values and virtues. It's hard not to question if our parenting somehow contributed to this heartbreaking rift that has shattered our family. Jared and Nathan always seemed to share a loving bond. While every sibling relationship has its ups and downs, we thought theirs was solid. Sure, Nathan displayed occasional jealousy toward Jared, but we viewed it as typical sibling behavior. Even Sophia concurred, and it never seemed serious enough for us to worry. Small instances, like when Jared made the school football team, would affect Nathan. He was happy for his brother but would sulk for a few days, grappling with feelings of inadequacy. We reassured him that he shouldn't compare himself to Jared, as Jared would always be older. Nathan accepted this and never held any intense malice. Interestingly, the jealousy wasn't always one-sided. Jared, who struggled with social skills involving girls, often felt frustrated, while Nathan, more outspoken and confident, had better luck in those areas. In those moments, Sophia and I would counsel Jared through his feelings. We weren't a perfect family, but we were what I'd call a typical one. We experienced joy, had our squabbles, and always supported each other through hard times. When Jared left for college, he underwent a remarkable personality transformation. He became more extroverted, started going to parties and clubs, fully stepping out of his shell. Sophia and I were surprised but thrilled for him. It was during college that he met his now ex-girlfriend, Haley. She was 2 years younger, and Jared was instantly taken by her. I don't know all the specifics of their relationship, but I remember him introducing her to the family around the 2-year mark, when he was 22 and Haley was just 20. She was warm and easy to like, and Sophia and I could see how happy Jared was with her. Later that day, Jared confided in me, declaring her the love of his life, and saying he believed she was the one he wanted to marry. I was genuinely happy for him, and told him I appreciated Haley as well. However, as a father, my advice was for him to take his time. I reminded him that they were both young and their views could evolve over time, emphasizing the importance of ensuring compatibility beyond just love. We met Haley a few more times over the year and a half that followed. Although Nathan wasn't around to join us, both of our sons were attending colleges in different states. The dynamics began to shift when Jared and Haley started experiencing problems. He kept it to himself, gradually stopping the visits and appearing more tense every time we spoke. Whenever we asked him what was wrong, he simply mentioned that they were going through a rough patch. He didn't elaborate, and my wife and I understood not to pry into anything he wasn't ready to share. A few months later, we learned that Jared and Haley had broken up. He was devastated for quite some time, and Sophia and I made frequent visits to support him through his heartbreak. She was his first girlfriend, and it was heartbreaking for him to move on. Despite our questions about the reason for their split, he never opened up. Their relationship spanned just over 4 years, and it took him another year, at least, to fully recover. Now, he's dating a woman named Mariam, 26, and he appears genuinely happy with her, which brings relief to both Sophia and me. In contrast, Nathan had a series of casual relationships. He never seemed serious enough to introduce us to anyone. We respected his choices, assuming he was handling things on his own. However, we overlooked the fact that Jared had been avoiding Nathan ever since his breakup with Haley. At first, we didn't catch on, assuming it was just coincidence, but looking back, it's clear what was happening. Jared started skipping family events and visiting home less frequently. Being an introvert, he never enjoyed these gatherings, so we never pushed him. Instead of coming home, he began sending us tickets to visit him. Sophia and I remained unaware that something was profoundly wrong with our son. I had occasionally told him he needed to visit, but he always used his busy schedule as an excuse. Meanwhile, Nathan continued to come home regularly, and nothing he did or said hinted at any tension between him and Jared. The truth finally surfaced days ago when Nathan dropped some unexpected news. He expressed his desire to introduce us to someone special, hoping we would be accepting. Both of us were thrilled, eager to meet his girlfriend for the first time. However, when I saw who it was, I felt as if my voice had been stolen. I was utterly speechless. He came home with none other than Haley, declaring that they were getting married and that she was the one he wanted us to meet. Sophia and I exchanged astonished looks and stared at them for what felt like an eternity. Part of me wondered if this was some elaborate joke, but his serious demeanor told me otherwise. My first question was whether Jared was aware. Haley seemed visibly uncomfortable, and Nathan claimed Jared had known for ages and was fine with it. Knowing my sons as well as I do, I found it hard to believe Jared would be okay with this. I confronted Nathan, telling him to stop lying. I simply couldn't buy what he was saying. He erupted in anger, accusing us of favoritism and claiming we weren't happy for him. He pointed out that during Jared and Haley's relationship, we couldn't stop praising her, yet now we couldn't even look her in the eye, even though she was still the same person. He expected our congratulations but felt rejected instead. He accused us of double standards for accepting Jared's relationship, while reacting so harshly to his. I told him that what he was doing was unforgivable, almost a betrayal in my eyes. I wanted Sophia's support, but when I turned to her, she was gone. 5 minutes later, she returned with all of Nathan's important documents, throwing them at him and telling him to never show his face to her again. He told us he had come to invite us to his wedding, but claimed we didn't deserve an invitation. I replied that attending such a wedding would be a nightmare for me, so I was actually relieved he was withdrawing the invite, since we wouldn't have gone anyway. He stormed out with Haley, leaving Sophia and me in stunned silence. By the time I was able to process what had just happened, Sophia had already called Jared. She asked if he was aware, and he told her that Haley had cheated on him with Nathan, which was the reason for their breakup. Initially, he hadn't known it was Nathan, just that she had been unfaithful with someone. Jared explained that they tried to move past it, but the betrayal haunted him. He realized he didn't want to live with that pain forever. He begged Haley to reveal the identity of her affair partner, but she stubbornly refused to tell him. The stress weighed heavily on Jared, leading to his decision to end things with her. Just 2 months after their split, she was already dating Nathan, and that's when Jared discovered that his own brother was the one who had betrayed him. I asked if he ever confronted Nathan about it, and he admitted that he did. He questioned Nathan's actions, stating that while he could expect something like this from Haley, he would never have anticipated it from Nathan. Nathan's only response was that we all make questionable choices when we're in love. That was the last conversation they had. I asked Jared why he never confided in us, and he explained that he didn't want us to think less of him. He felt this was his personal issue with Nathan, and he believed involving us would be inappropriate. Hearing him struggle to be the bigger person after being wronged shattered me. Tears welled in my eyes as I apologized for not being a better father and for not questioning the distance between him and Nathan over the years. It had been 3 days since Nathan and Haley visited, and both Sophia and I were still reeling from it. We decided we wouldn't attend the wedding. I told Sophia that I wanted nothing to do with Nathan and Haley. To me, they were dead. Jared, however, urged us not to ruin our relationship with Nathan over this. For Sophia and me, though, this felt like the right choice. Yesterday, I received a call from my parents, who live down south. Though we don't see each other often, we're close. When my children were born, they set up college funds for them. I felt a sting because I believed it was my duty to prepare and save for their future, and I had established funds for them too. Ultimately, both boys received partial scholarships and used my funds, leaving my parents' contributions untouched. On their 21st birthdays, my father informed them that the money was theirs to spend as they pleased, with no strings attached. Apparently, Nathan intended to use this money to finance his wedding with Haley. My dad called me, launching into a stern lecture about our potential absence from the wedding. Nathan had expressed his disappointment about our lack of support, and my father was furious. He was practically shouting during the call, insisting he had raised me better than to abandon my own child on such an important day. He said Haley was a lovely girl and that I needed to trust Nathan's judgment, advising me not to create fuss for no reason. His anger inflamed my own, and I felt livid in response. I couldn't believe he would side with Nathan and Haley after everything that had transpired. As I continued to ramble on, it became clear that he was completely unaware of the full Jared-Haley drama. How could he be, really? Jared hadn't confided in anyone in the family, and Nathan was never the type to be honest or forthcoming about such matters. I muted the phone and turned to Sophia, asking if we should reveal the truth or just let things be. Sophia insisted he needed to know, otherwise, everyone would unfairly malign us and Jared for not supporting family, when in reality, Jared was the one wronged. Once Dad wrapped up his tirade, I felt it was time to share some important information, but under the condition that he kept an open mind. I explained how Jared and Haley first met, how we came to know Haley as Jared's girlfriend when Nathan wasn't around, the struggles in their relationship, and the eventual breakup. We also recounted what Jared had shared with us regarding the whole Nathan and Haley engagement debacle. We laid out every detail we had. At first, Dad didn't believe us and accused us of favoritism, claiming we were fabricating a story to save ourselves. He demanded proof of our theory. Sophia pulled out her phone, convinced she had a photo from one of our meetings. After some searching, she found it and sent it to Dad. His only response was a deep sigh, promising he would get back to us. Earlier today, Sophia received a call from Dad and relayed their conversation to me, not good news for him. After I spoke to Dad yesterday, he reached out to Nathan and Haley to verify our account. Nathan tried to twist the truth, but Dad saw right through his lies. He firmly informed Nathan that he wouldn't receive a single penny from the fund set up for him. Nathan broke down on the call, pleading with his grandfather to reconsider, but Dad stood his ground. He made it clear that he wouldn't finance a marriage built on family betrayal. In a fit of anger, Nathan brought up how on his 21st birthday, Dad had told him he was free to use that money as he wished, arguing it was unfair not to get it now, after a promise made 4 years ago. He attempted to gaslight my dad into giving it to him, insisting that if Dad didn't comply, he wouldn't be a man of his word and that it was his rightful inheritance. But Dad, always short-tempered and even less patient with age, wasn't having any of it. Nathan was clearly frustrated throughout the call, expecting to pressure Dad into compliance. Dad had reached his limit. Initially, he had considered giving Nathan the money for his wedding in the future, but after witnessing Nathan's entitled behavior and lack of remorse, he decided that no money would be given at all. To make matters worse for Nathan, Dad announced that the fund would now go to Jared instead. At that moment, Nathan realized he had truly dug his own grave. He started apologizing, claiming he spoke out of anger, but it was far too late for that. Dad remained resolute, and I knew Nathan would never see a cent from that fund. He called Sophia to update her on the situation, thanking us for revealing the truth. He expressed that had he funded Nathan's wedding, a twinge of guilt would have haunted him for life. He mentioned plans to unveil the roots of Nathan and Haley's relationship to the family, aiming to reveal their true characters to the world. Sophia expressed concern, worried that Jared might not support this move. She felt he had moved on, and dragging him into this mess again would only cause more harm than good. However, Dad insisted he had already spoken to Jared, who expressed his willingness for the family to know and encouraged Dad to proceed as he saw fit. Dad was determined to make a significant announcement and wanted to know if we had any objections. Sophia replied she was fine with whatever Dad chose since Nathan was effectively dead to us. She promised to discuss my feelings with him afterward. I reassured her that I fully supported Dad's decision. It may seem trivial, but infidelity has always disgusted me. Learning that my own son was involved in an affair, especially with his brother's girlfriend, made me lose all respect and love for Nathan. I can't help but reflect on whether we failed in our upbringing, leading him down this path. While I wish this situation never occurred, I know that my foremost duty now is to stand firmly with Jared and not concern myself with family reputation. The worst that could happen is that people will judge Nathan for his actions, and in my eyes, he deserves all the criticism and ostracism. His conduct is inexcusable, and no amount of redemption can change that. I'm aware this will likely create a family drama, and I fear its impact on Jared. Still, if he's okay with it, I have no right to oppose. I would do anything to escape this predicament, but it's beyond my control now. Update 1. We all received a forwarded message from Dad. Here's the full text. I have always loved my grandkids and have tried my best to be impartial. While I may not have been the hands-on grandfather, Judith and I have always cared for them to the best of our abilities. When Jared, Nathan, Bianca, Roxana, and Tyler were born, we set up funds for each, intended for them to use wisely, with an unspoken understanding that it could not be for immoral purposes. I was eager to support Nathan's wedding to Haley, who seemed like a lovely girl when Judith and I first met her. Imagine my shock when I recently discovered that Haley is actually Jared's ex-girlfriend, and that their relationship began through her betrayal. At first, I couldn't believe it, but sadly, it's true, and I'm retracting my offer to fund the wedding. What I choose to do with that money is now my own decision, and none of you have any claim to it. I also will not attend the wedding, as I refuse to support such an unholy union. It was crucial to share this information in case Nathan and Haley ever question my principles and ethics. What you choose to do with this knowledge is up to you. This message is being shared with those we consider close family. I don't know if he has shared this message with Nathan and Haley, nor am I interested in whether they are aware of the reality they now face. My sister called me upon receiving the text, bewildered by the situation. I informed her that Sophia and I discovered the truth recently and were just as shocked as anyone else. She is understandably upset with Nathan and has decided not to attend the wedding. I mentioned that Sophia and I also wouldn't be going, and she sighed in relief, feeling that perhaps we were both okay with skipping it or willing to tolerate Nathan for appearance's sake. I assured her that we had cut all ties with him and wanted nothing to do with him anymore. When she asked if I knew whether Nathan had received the text, I admitted I didn't and honestly didn't care. I had no idea who else got that message, nor did it matter to me how Nathan planned to fund his wedding. What I do know is that I raised him better, and if he's chosen this path, then he's no son of mine. Just to clarify, Judith is my mother, and Bianca, Roxana, and Tyler are my sister's kids. Update: the wedding is off. 10 days after my dad sent the text, Nathan came home, breaking down before us. He claimed we were the source of his unhappiness. It turns out that the text reached some extended family too, and none of them would attend the wedding. There was a lot of shaming and name-calling, and Haley couldn't handle it. She called off the wedding and stopped responding to his calls and texts. I can't say I felt sorry for him or had the urge to comfort him. The truth is, I didn't know how to stop his crying while also kicking him out. I'm glad I didn't, because I learned that Haley had spun a completely different version of events to her family. She claimed that her breakup with Jared occurred a year prior and that he was aware of her relationship with Nathan and okay with it. Her family believed her. But once the truth came out about their relationship, everyone was appalled. She's been disowned by her parents and ostracized by her relatives. Her cousins, whom she was close to, have stopped talking to her, as have her friends. Her friends, who had a good relationship with Jared, confirmed this to me. They had thought that Haley and Jared's breakup was mutual. Yet, after Dad sent the text, her friends abandoned her too. Now she's miserable and alone, while Nathan blames us. He insists we were wrong to interfere in his life, claiming our involvement has ruined everything. Truth, he and Haley have lost all the goodwill and respect from the people they once cared about. I told him that although it might be easier for him to place blame on us, the reality is he dug his own grave by pursuing his brother's girlfriend. He attempted to convince us of some true love nonsense, but Sophia wasn't having it. She firmly told him that he was solely to blame and remarked on how repulsive she found him, shocked by how her son could have turned out this way. When I asked him why he chose to go after Haley, knowing she was with Jared, he had no answer and just claimed that Jared was holding a grudge. I asked if he felt any remorse for breaking his brother's heart, and his only reply was to question whether we felt sorry for sabotaging his marriage. Right then, I knew he was a lost cause. No amount of understanding or discussion would change his perspective. I told him this was the last time he'd be welcome in my house. He was free to do whatever he wanted, go wherever he wished, but he had no place in my life after what he had done. He accused us of loving Jared more than him, claiming we made it blatantly obvious, which he found hilarious. I explained to him that we had consistently treated both of them equally, but if he sees this as us playing favorites, he's being foolish. I emphasized that we are standing up for what is right, not for Jared. Just because he can't recognize the wrongness of his actions doesn't make them right. It was clear he was uninterested in my perspective. He shot us a long, hard look before storming away. This all transpired last night, and now he has blocked both Sophia and me on every platform. I can't pretend it doesn't hurt to watch my family fall apart, feeling utterly helpless because I know I can't put it back together again. Update 3: it's been a month since the wedding was called off. Haley and Nathan have split, and Haley had the audacity to reach out to Jared. She called him, apologized for her actions, and asked if they could have another chance together, hoping for forgiveness. After that, Jared blocked her number and mentioned that she might even try to visit us. Thankfully, that hasn't happened. Nathan still believes he hasn't done anything wrong and is isolating himself. No one seems to be talking to him. I'm worried about his whereabouts, but I don't feel that extending an olive branch is the right move. This is simply how things are now. And as everything settles, I assume this is how the future will be as well. I never imagined my family would experience something like this, but I guess fate had different plans. All I can do is remain firm in what I believe is right.
Did you hear? Apparently, Chris only learned to play guitar so he could serenade his cat. He's been holding private concerts every night for his one cat audience.